Look, there aren't many situations or circumstances that put me in an awkward situation. I'd like to think I'm a pretty sociable person. I'm a pretty outgoing person. I could definitely talk your ear off. And so there's not many circumstances that make me feel awkward. But what I hate the most, what brings me the most awkwardness, is doing something that I feel obligated to do, even though I don't want to do it. And you know what's the worst thing? The worst thing is sharing my food. Maybe you can relate to this. I hate sharing my food. Like, I ordered just enough for me, or I made and prepared just enough for me, or maybe I prepared you a plate. If you got your own plate, don't ask me for food. Can I have a fry? No, you cannot have a fry. You cannot have a fry. I will pay for your fries. Just do not touch my fries. I got just enough. And you know who's the worst at this? My wife. My wife is the worst at this. She always asks me for my food, even though she got food right in front of her. Right in front of her. I can see it. I'm not asking her for food. She asked me for food. And it's the worst thing. And I'm getting better at this. I am. I've even started asking her, like, 1 bite in, 2 bites in. I'm like, you want to try my food? You want to try my food? And this is her response every single time. She's like, maybe later. Miss Ma'am, there ain't gonna be no later. This food's about to be gone in like 2 seconds. You either want some now or you don't want some at all. And so you're telling me, now that I'm married with you, I gotta share my food and eat slower because you eat slow like a mouse? It's the worst thing ever. I hate it. And like I said, I'm getting better. And all of a sudden, she always asks me too, even though I say, you can have some. She's like, no, I don't want some. Maybe later. I move on. I keep eating. And all of a sudden, at the end of my meal, I'm down to my last bite. She's like, I didn't get to try your food. Can I have some? And I'm down to my last bite. I didn't get to share. And so now I'm obligated to share my food. It is the worst feeling ever. Okay, don't do that to me. SEY, don't do that to me. Another awkward obligation, cashier registers. When we're about to check out, maybe you're at a coffee shop and you're checking out, and the cashier, he turns over the register and he's like, would you like to donate to the pet shelter? And he tells the whole coffee shop. And I'm like, and they're like, would you like to donate to the pet shelter? Now that everyone's looking and you told the whole world, sure. Yes, I'll round up. And sure, those are all good things, right? Donating to a good cause, sharing my food, these are all good things. But listen, a good thing done for the wrong reasons turns it into a bad thing, right? A good thing can be a bad thing when you do it for the wrong reasons. The reality is, though, Sandals Church Youth, we all do that. We all do things out of obligation sometimes. Maybe for you do chores out of obligation because mama said so. And you need to. Maybe you're like me, you go to the gym out of obligation. I don't want to be there. My wife, she'd be dragging me to the gym, driving me and dragging me to the gym. Gift giving out of obligation. Sometimes tipping at a restaurant. Fellas, Valentine's Day. If you're doing something nice for Valentine's Day, but it's out of obligation and not out of love, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. That's what I want you to hear today. And I want to ask you, before we move on, what are you doing out of the wrong reasons? What are you doing out of the wrong reasons it matters? What are you doing out of the wrong intentions? What are you doing out of obligation and not love? And here's why I ask. All those things I mentioned, those good things, they're easy to do out of love. They're easy to do when it's done out of love because it just flows out of you. Donating to a good cause. Why not donate to a good cause out of my love for God and my gratitude for how much He's blessed me? Why not share my food with my wife because we're one and I'm thankful for her? She steals my food, but I'm thankful for her. Why not out of love? Listen, when it comes from a place of love, service is not a chore. And here's what I want you to hear today. My first point is this: what you love, you serve. What you love, you serve, and it comes easy. And so today I want to ask you, what do you love? What do you love? And in turn, what do you serve? Do you love and serve the things of the world? Or do you love and serve the things Christ loves and serve? And hear me today, it matters. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Because one leads to misery and the other one leads to legacy. One leads to misery and the other one leads to legacy. And I get it. Sometimes, friends, it's hard to discern what are the right things to love, what are the right things to serve. But I think the best place to stop and take inventory of the things we need to love is to look at Christ and ask, what did he love? What did he love? In 1 John, he says, we love because he first loved us. If that is true, he is the example of what to love. Let's focus on the things he loved. Let's focus on the things he served. And so the question now is, what does Christ love? What does Christ love? Hear me. Christ loves his church. He loves his church. And real quick, one of my favorite expressions of just love in general is weddings. Mainly because, best believe, I'm down on that dance floor, getting down. I'm tearing it up. Okay, those are my favorite part of the wedding. Like 1, 2 step. But the most moving part of the wedding is when the bride walks down the aisle. And everyone's looking at the bride, and I'm looking too, like it's cool, my friend. But I always try to make time to catch the groom and his response, his reaction as he looks at the bride. And there's a special moment when he realizes the love of his life is walking down the aisle. His bride, his soon-to-be wife, is walking towards him. It's a special moment that often makes them emotional. And it's cool to watch it. And I remember my wedding day. And gosh, I was a mess. I was a mess, and I'm already a crier, so I was like done for. I knew from the top. I was like, I'm done for. And so I remember the moment Camille turned the corner. She's walking down the aisle, and I start to gain emotion. And for a second, it's cute. Like there's a picture. For a second, it's cute, but that cute tear is like, it lasted like 3 seconds. Okay, it turned to ugly crying. Like I'm talking snot. Like it is. And there's another picture. That's the ugly crying. Okay. And I'm like, boy, you got to get this together. Okay. Everyone's looking at you. You got to get it together. But it was not cute. And sure, I was a mess, but my bride was walking towards me. The love of my life was walking towards me, and nothing else mattered. Not my snot, not my tears. Nothing else mattered. Did you know that is how Christ looks at the church? Did you know that is how Christ looked at the church? And I'm not saying maybe he ugly cried, but I mean, who knows? Maybe he ugly cries for the church. What I'm saying is he looks at the church with so much love, so much delight, like a groom looking at his bride. You see, the Bible, it talks about this very metaphor. Christ to the church is like a groom to his bride. In Ephesians 5:25-26, it says, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church. There's that parallel, husbands and wives, bride and groom. And it says, Christ loved the church, and what? He gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. There's that parallel again. The church is the bride of Christ, and he loves his bride. He loves his church. But notice what his love turns him to do. His love turned into action. It says, Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. You see, Christ is the best example of servant leadership, servant love motivated out of love. Servant leadership motivated out of love. And it was the love of Christ that compelled him to give himself. It was the love of Christ that compelled him to serve. Listen, if we're called to live like Christ, if we're called to love the things Christ loved, we're called to love the church. And again, if we serve the things that we love, then we ought to serve the church too. I know that was a lot there. So to simplify that, write this down. My next point is this: to love Christ is to serve his church. It's as simple as that. To love Christ is to serve his church. And Jesus himself, he was the best example of this. All right, so many times in the Bible we see that he served out of his love. One of my favorite and most radical examples, in my opinion, is in John 13, where out of his love he washes his disciples' feet. And we're a place about being real, right? I like to think I love a lot of people and I love them well, but to wash them feet, I know where them nasty toes been. I don't know where them. I don't know. I don't know if you got athlete's foot. I don't know if I take off your shoe and then I get hit by smells that I don't need to be smelling. Okay, this is gross stuff. It is one of the lowest and most humbling things you can do. And he does it. And it says he does so out of love. In John 13, starting in verse 12, it says this. And when he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. And so out of his love, he swoops down and serves. He washes his disciples' feet, and then he switches the script. He tells us to do the same. He tells us to do the same. He says, I have set you an example that you should do as I have done. Friends, what you love, you serve. And to love Christ is to love his church. And so as we close and as we go into time of group, I want to ask this one question. What do we do from here? And the obvious question is, Kristian, the obvious question is to start serving, join a team. Yes, that is true. And I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to challenge you to maybe join a team tonight. But there's two things I need you to understand before I get to make that challenge to you. First, understand this. We all have gifts. We all have gifts. You too, Billy. You got a gift too. Is it to teaching kids? Is it to smile and wave? There's guest services for you. Do you play an instrument or do you have a lovely voice? Just kidding. No. There's a worship team. Do you like to be behind the scenes and pressing buttons? There's a production team. What is your gift? Whatever it is, listen to what it says in 1 Peter 4:10. It says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms. See, our gift, what it's saying in 1 Peter is our gift, it's given to us because of grace. And our job is to steward that gift well by what? By serving others. You need to understand, you too have a gift. We all have a gift. Second, understand, we need you. We need you. Do you know Paul in 1 Corinthians, he talks about the church. He talks about the church as a body. And he describes each of us as a part of the body. This is what it says in 1 Corinthians verse 12. Just as the body, though one, has many parts, all of its parts form one body. So it is with Christ. And then it goes on in verse 17 to say this. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? What is Paul saying? It's saying we need you. We, the church, need each other to function at full capacity. Just like a body needs its parts, individual parts to function as a whole, we're better with you. Listen, we need you. My friend literally just a couple days ago got into an accident, like her car is totaled. And I heard about it. So I was like, hey, I heard you got in an accident. Are you okay? And she tells me she breaks her wrist. She broke her wrist. And what she says in a voice memo is, yeah, my wrist is broken. I can't even text. You see, her wrist is broken, but her whole arm is out for the count. Her whole arm is in a sling. She can't even text. She has to voice memo what she's trying to tell me. Right? One part of a body injured has affected now her whole living experience. Friends, again, just like the body needs our wrists, a small part, but a crucial part of our body, just like our body needs our arms and our ears, we need you. And it's imperative you understand this because I think the tendency in today's culture, in today's church, in today's even school and teams, the tendency is to just come and say, oh, there's people better than me. There's already someone doing that. Oh, I don't have a gift. No. We're called, Sandals Church Youth, we're called to not just consume, we're called to contribute. We're called to move from consumer to contributor. Why? Because, again, we all have a gift. And this church, our church, the Big C Church, needs you. Let's pray. Dear God, we love you. And it's out of our love for you, Father, that we're drawn to serve. And so I pray, Lord, for just awareness of how much you love us. And may our love for you just grow and strengthen. May it move us. May it convict us to step into action, just like you step into action because of your love. Father, may our action encourage us. May our action move us to sign up, to do something today to serve your church. May you bring to awareness the ways that you've gifted us because of your grace. And may you remind us that our church needs everybody here tonight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Sandals Church Youth, thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope this video blessed you, encouraged you, gave you a question to think through as you're navigating your faith with Christ and what it means to be a Christian. If you have not yet subscribed, I would love if you could do that for us. You could do so here, this little button here, click on that. That'll be the subscribe button. And if this did bless you, leave us a comment, give us a like, and share it with a friend. Who knows who may need to hear this. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.